Morning, everybody. Welcome to Lock Pod. We're coming to you live from the Lock Pod Powerade, Indiana, Lake County Studios. And this is the Midwest Most Dangerous Podcast.
Yes, it is. Good morning.
Hey, what's up?
Season 11, episode Cuatro.
Sí, muy bien.
And it's snowing out. And
Sí.
Jill had a treacherous drive in from
Yeah,
the northern hinterlands.
Jill lives on a really, very
On the
close to the
lake.
lakefront. Yeah.
Almost lakefront.
And you get,
Really? Nice.
you get
No, it's not true.
you get a decent amount of
Quarter mile, right?
Yeah.
lake effect snow, right?
Yeah.
So we, where we are, I may get a couple inches of snow where I live because I'm in the south part of the city, but Jill will get half a foot. Maybe more.
Or
Yeah.
nothing. Or nothing.
Or
It's-
nothing.
it's-
Depending. I thought it was funny. She texted me and she said, I'm on my way, traffic's slow, and people are dumb.
Yeah.
That
I
was
hear
the
ya.
text I got.
Yeah. Just
I
get
hear
out
you.
of the way.
I
That
know.
is the
It's so
most
ridiculous.
Jill text
Dude,
ever.
like people get in both lanes and drive 25 miles an hour.
Thank
It's
you.
maddening. It's
Yeah.
like, God
Thank you.
damn, just get over, you freaking idiot. There's people with four-wheel drive here. We don't want to drive 20 miles an hour because you got a Datsun, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's pulling out of the 70s.
I like Datsuns.
Datsun, man.
When
Datsun
I'm trying to-
380ZX.
That's right.
Remember those?
Weren't
Yeah.
those like
T-tops?
one of the most unreliable cars, the Datsuns?
It was the Pinto if you were in the back seat.
Yes, there you go.
My mom used to have a Pinto, and she put me in the back seat all the time.
You
No
survived.
Funny
way.
enough, I swear to God, I remember significant parts of my childhood sitting in the back of a Pinto. Tell me, you know
Wow.
what I'm talking about, right, Kev?
Yes.
The
The
gas
Pinto
tank.
had like a little play area, and you would put your kids in the play area. It was literally marketed like that. Like, put your kids back here. And then kids started dying by the masses. And not only that, Pintos also had a problem when they got rear-ended because they
Right.
would blow up.
Because there were kids in there?
Yeah, so your kids would be in the back, and then you'd get in a rear-end collision, and the car would explode. And then
Famous
you'd be
Pinto
like,
trial
huh.
took place in Indiana.
And then
That's
they
where
discovered
ended up happening in the Pinto trial.
they discovered that it was a conscious decision made by Ford because they knew that people were going to die, but they made a decision because retrofitting the cars would be more expensive.
Mm.
It's a famous
Wow.
legal, case, but more like a theory. you
Yeah,
know,
right.
but-
That people put
they
or
talk about
companies put profits over people,
Right.
That kind
And they're
of thing.
literally like calculating it out. Okay, we're going to get sued every once in a while for people dying in explosive car accidents, but we're going to be making good money. So
Yeah,
Worth
but the
it.
crazy thing is that the trial, the consolidated trial, ended up in Indiana in Kosciuszko County, I think.
dude, we're
Warsaw?
freelancing. We're totally
Yeah.
freelancing.
Yeah,
Man.
I got it. No, it was in Winnemac, I think.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken, which is Kosciuszko.
I'm going
County.
to say yes. You're
Why?
right.
Why
That's
do
right.
you know that?
Someone, I don't know, because it's. I guess maybe
Useless
it's
knowledge.
like law school useless knowledge. Maybe,
Plus,
right?
plus, we were old enough to know what a Ford Pinto is.
True.
And I actually rode in the back of a Ford Pinto, so I would pay more attention to the cases when they talk about those.
Can I-
Because I was like, man, that could have been me.
Can I kind of go into your brain and see if you have this knowledge? Datsun, was it precursor to Nissan? Like, did Datsuns become Nissans
Yeah, I think so. Or it was
or
around the
something,
same-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember.
What's
but
going on
Japanese.
in chat here? Like everyone's talking about football. Are there big football games this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They
Yeah.
want predictions.
Divisional
Playoffs.
series.
What do you guys got?
Okay, here's one.
The
Niners,
Bears aren't going to win.
Niners Packers.
Go Pack, go.
The Pack
gonna
is
be-
on fire, man.
That's the scary thing if
I
you're the
know.
Niners.
Because the Pack destroyed the Bears, and the Bears were playing great. And then the Pack destroyed
I would say the
Cowboys.
Bears played the Packers better than the
They did.
Cowboys played the Packers.
They did. Then
Oh
the
my
Bears were
God.
playing the best football they played all year, and
Yeah.
the Pack dominated them.
Mhm.
And then the Pack went on the road in Dallas and destroyed the Cowboys.
That was a shocker.
I'm telling you, and the 49ers were playing way better at the beginning of the season than they are now. So
Agree with that.
this is a total potential for
Upset.
the 49ers to lose. Total potential because Green Bay is completely on fire right now. They're
Tampa-
They got nothing to lose.
and
They're
yeah,
young kids. They don't know they're supposed to lose.
that's right. And Jordan Love is the first freshman or the first rookie quarterback to ever have a perfect quarterback rating in a playoff game
Wow.
in his first start.
In his first playoff start. Wow.
Right.
What Tampa, Detroit, at Detroit. Tampa at Detroit. Tampa, by the way, another team that shocked me last week over the Eagles.
I got Detroit at home on that
Okay.
one.
Bills, Chiefs in Buffalo.
Oh,
Bills.
I got the Bills on that one.
Wow, that's the game of the weekend.
The Chiefs
in my
are playing.
opinion.
The Chiefs are soft this year. They're not
playing as
they're
well,
not-
and this is
they're
the first time the Bills have played them in the playoffs because they're 0-2 against Mahomes in Buffalo.
the Taylor Swift factor. I mean, the Bills are going to be fired
Soft.
up. Yeah,
Soft.
yeah. Right.
Taylor's,
everyone's getting
That's
burned
what
out
their
on
problem
that.
is.
I love
That's-
Taylor Swift.
that's-
I'm
but-
getting burned on.
no,
Burned
I am
on?
Turned
burned
on?
out.
Turned
Burned
on?
out. Burned on.
I
I
don't know
love
where you're
Taylor.
going.
I love Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something Jill and I share.
What's the last game? Baltimore hosting? Not sure. Texans.
Yeah,
Who
Baltimore.
cares?
I think I'm going Baltimore.
All right, there you
All
go.
right.
Take it
There's
to
our
the bank.
predictions.
Take it to the bank.
There you go.
Bet your
I'll
house.
be
Take your
opposite.
bets.
Take
Yeah.
our bets, not Phil's.
Hey, John.
Hey,
Why is our Powering Indiana Lake County studio sign bright red right
can
now?
you see that? It looks more red in here than on camera.
You have to believe us.
It is red.
It's
If
so
we turned
red.
off the lights, you would be able to tell real quick.
Yeah.
Turn off the
Very
lights
red.
real quick. Turn it off real quick. You'll see what we're
I have
talking
no
about.
idea if they're going to go back on.
Ooh,
Whoop, whoop. Now you see what's
Nice.
going on.
that's nice.
It looks like a submarine.
Wait a minute. I got to see how this looks on screen. Oh, wow. Look at that, Tom.
Why is it red? Wow, that is cool, by the way.
I saw.
Tom's like, I feel like I'm in a submarine.
I feel like I'm back home.
So as chat knows by now, like there's a script. Tom and Kevin work tirelessly on bringing you the best episodes twice a week.
Kevin
And I
sent
looked-
it to me yesterday.
Did he?
I
Did?
actually got to
That's
see
awesome.
it before.
First time. 11 seasons in.
I glanced. I mean,
22 seasons in.
And then she didn't look.
Yeah, right.
quick read.
Between her and Lindsay, we've got like a 1 in 10 chance they
Oh,
look at
yeah.
the script. So.
Anyway, I looked at the script
Thanks,
and I
John.
thought, man, I better turn this sign red for this first topic.
Coming in
Let me
hot.
throw it up on screen
The,
here.
the title is St. John, Indiana Police Chief F's the Lake County Sheriff. That's what it
That's
says
not
on.
what it says.
So
Here we are.
I was,
Lake County politics.
yeah, this is the front page of the Times. What was it, 2 days ago?
Yes.
A Jerry Davidge article with a huge,
Former guest on the pod.
like, the whole front page is basically Chief Flores from St. John, who's throwing his hat in the ring for sheriff. Okay, so like naturally, anybody that looks at this is like, damn, we got a sheriff's race coming up, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I got to get registered to vote, right? No, he's throwing his hat in the ring allegedly for the sheriff's race in 2026. Let's get this straight here. Okay,
Put this in
in
perspective.
2024, we have Senate races and we have Senate races and representative races.
Governor.
We have governor races, attorney general races, the United States president, and people.
president?
That too.
And people have
going
barely
on.
started to campaign for these offices. You see, like
for 26 or for 2024?
24.
Yeah, agree.
For barely, like they're literally like getting to know. We just found out another candidate's jumping in the race for attorney general in 2024. So like, we're just getting started on 2024 races,
Statewide.
right? And this guy is like, no, this is 2026. This is 2.5 years from now. I'm on the front page of the Times announcing my candidacy for 2.5 years from now.
So what's your theory?
Well, I think a lot of people would go, oh man, this guy's a gunner. He's like really worried about getting out there. But I'm more cynical than that.
We know that.
A lot more
We
cynical
know
than that. I was pissed off as soon as I saw this. Kevin,
I mean, you're a big Oscar supporter.
I am. First off, get off of Oscar's ass. He's got a freaking trial on a traffic charge next month that could ruin his career. It's a fucking traffic charge. Okay? And everybody is just salivating, hoping that Oscar gets convicted and goes down. Everybody in government is like talking about, oh my God, who's going to be the next sheriff? I am not part of that. But I think it's all freaking bullshit.
Well, I mean, everybody you talk to is like, oh, Tom's going to run for sheriff.
I'm like, I don't know where this rumor comes from, but I want Oscar to serve out his whole term. I want him to be the sheriff until 2026, December 31st. That's my biggest wish in regards to the Lake County Sheriff.
And
Okay?
I want him to beat the charges.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's a fucking trumped up bullshit case. Okay? I think it's total disgrace that we're going through this. That's where I think. And I think it's a joke. Okay? So when I see this joker from St. John on the fucking front page of the newspaper while Oscar is getting ready to defend his career, I find it in incredibly poor taste. I think it's total bullshit, actually, that this guy is like, he is not running for sheriff in 2026. This guy is running for caucus. What he hopes Oscar gets convicted so that he has all this goodwill from this beautiful front page article that the Times gave him so that he can win a caucus. That's what Flores is talking about. Flores isn't talking about 2026. That's a bunch of bullshit. He wants Oscar to get convicted so that he gets caucused in. That's what this is all about. Get the hell out of here with your bullshit you're running in 2026. Get the hell out of here with that.
One of the things I keep thinking about, and when people talk about the sheriff, and I'm talking about Oscar Martinez, is that, when I say I want him to beat the charges, really what I want to happen is I want the prosecutor to treat Oscar like he would treat any other criminal defendant in this situation.
Too late.
Which is
Too late.
offer a misdemeanor and let him go on his way.
That
Because
should have happened in the first 2 weeks, Kevin.
Yeah.
Not 2 years later.
after several appeals and all kinds of other stuff.
Oscar's probably spent $100,000 defending a traffic charge.
Can't even imagine.
At least $100,000 defending a traffic charge. That's what this is about. It's about a traffic charge. Like, Jill, let's say on your way to Lock Pod, you drove 90 miles an hour to get here on time. Okay.
Allegedly.
And let's say you did 95.
Definitely didn't do that.
Say you did 95. You were just reckless. Okay. And a cop pulls you over and you blew him off after a little bit. And then you finally pulled over. That cop's not going to arrest you. He's not going to, but at the end of the day, you're going to be charged with reckless driving. You're going to probably plead to a misdemeanor. You're not going to get charged with a felony. You're certainly not going to have to go to trial and appeal and go through 2 years with a special prosecutor. None of that shit would happen to you because you're a normal citizen, right? Oscar is getting screwed royally by the special prosecutor, by the special judge. This should have never happened. The Lake County prosecutor should have finished this case years ago.
I think, yeah, that's one of the, I mean, charging him is one thing. Okay, fine. He charge him if you feel like that it's appropriate. That's prosecutor's discretion. If they feel like it fits the whole, whatever the charge is, charge him. But then just deal with him fairly, like you would any other criminal defendant in Lake County. And that's the thing I don't get. I don't get why.
If you were the Lake County prosecutor, what would you have done? Because I know what I would have done.
I mean,
we're lawyers. We could talk like this. If I was a Lake County prosecutor, I would have charged the sheriff with reckless driving, misdemeanor. He would have pled to it, I imagine, and we would have gone on with our lives 2 years ago. We would have never had a special prosecutor. We would have never had a special judge. We would have never spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on a bullshit traffic charge trial. That's what I would have done if I was Lake County prosecutor, and we'd be done with this nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the prosecutor has discretion to charge multiple things. And this one, the one thing they charged that I thought was interesting was this fleeing, right? Because the fleeing is the felony, I think, in this case, if I'm not mistaken. And there's everything that at least we've seen or have been in the paper. I haven't been privy to any of the private documents within the case. Is that the sheriff flipped on his lights, kind of like I'm sure cops do. Like,
they do.
Hey, I'm a cop.
They do.
Yeah, and then the other cop backed off. So it wasn't like he continued to chase him and Oscar continued to take off. That's my understanding of the facts. Now, whether that's
my understanding of the facts as well, Kevin.
Okay, so I don't know how that supports fleeing, but again, I mean,
it doesn't.
It
doesn't.
I'm not the charge. I'm not the guy doing the charges.
Because the guy doing the charges is trying to get some bones, like getting a Lake County sheriff in jail. That's the guy from Evansville is like trying to make his bones. He probably goes back to his Republican buddies in Evansville and is like, "Oh man, I got this sheriff on the ropes on a fucking traffic charge." A traffic charge. You're going to take a good man down. Oscar's never been charged with a crime. Oscar's never been accused of anything. And you're going to take a good man down because there's a discrepancy about whether he flipped his lights on or off while he was driving 90 miles an hour.
I'm still hopeful that things will get resolved.
We're going to take a sheriff down. We're going to take a sheriff down with a perfect track record on a traffic charge. Are we ready to do that, Lake County? This is bullshit. This whole thing is, and I tell you what, Chief Flores, you should have known better than to do this. This is a disgrace. You being on the front page, you're campaigning, hoping Oscar goes down, and I find it despicable. Despicable.
You had some stuff to say online about it, too.
I'm not backing off on this, dude. I'm going to let this guy remember it. And by the way, he's like, oh, I'm going to be the sheriff. I'm the St. John police chief. Okay, I've heard stuff like that coming from chiefs from South before. I've heard the same kind of lines coming from the South County chiefs before. Chief Flores, I heard that before.
What's this post here, Tom?
What does it say? Oh, that's the Hammond Democratic Club. Proudly displaying.
I saw you commented on this.
I did.
Yeah.
I mean, a Hammond Democratic Club is throwing Oscar under the bus by announcing Flores is running for sheriff. If anything comes up in the next 6 months about the Lake County sheriff, it's only if Oscar gets convicted. And this guy's out there campaigning right now. You tell me he's running in 2026 when Mervan just got his campaign started that happens in May. And this guy's, oh, no, I'm 2.5 years early. Shut up. Don't act like we're stupid, okay? Don't treat us like we're dumb, Chief Flores. Don't treat us like that. Just admit it. You want Oscar to get convicted, and you're trying to get Goodwill early. That's what you're trying to do.
So for our listeners that are out there, Tom, maybe we should explain what happened. So if for some reason Oscar would get convicted of a felony,
which is what he's charged with, the traffic felony.
Right. If he would be convicted of that, then his office is immediately vacated, and what would happen is there'd be a caucus of all the precinct committeemen in Lake County who would get together at a time that Chairman Weiser would set, and they would vote for who the next sheriff is. That's how actually Oscar originally got in.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think if I'm hearing what you're saying Chief Flores in St. John is anticipating a result for Oscar, and then he wants to make sure his name's out there if the caucus is held in the next 3 months.
That's what I think. That's exactly how I feel. I think that he's anticipating Oscar potentially being convicted, and if that happens, he wants to be well positioned so that he wins the caucus. So he's campaigning now, and what he's doing by appearing on the front page of the paper and announcing he's running for sheriff and saying we need to restore integrity to the office, what he's doing is tainting the jury pool that's going to decide Oscar's fate. It's a BS move from a police officer.
Yeah,
BS move from a chief.
I always thought that Sheriff Martinez and Chief Flores were in good, like, kind of like,
I think they
knew
were
and liked each other.
I think they were. Past tense.
Because
I know.
Yeah.
I think they were.
Yikes.
But I tell you what, I talked to the sheriff after this appeared, and I know he's not happy.
Mm.
How could you be happy? He's got a trial for his life in a month, and this joker is out there campaigning, saying, I'm going to restore integrity. How would you be happy if you were Oscar? Or any of Oscar's supporters? How would you be happy about that?
He didn't know he didn't know Flores was.
Oh, Flores threw Davidge under the bus, Jerry Davidge, the Times columnist, guest on Lockpod. He threw him under a bus. He's like, oh, dude, I don't know. This was all taken out of context. Shut up. Get out of here. What a bunch of crap.
Interesting. Well, we're going to see what happens. I'm still got my fingers crossed that Oscar resolves this.
Thanks. We used the red for the first time.
We're in the sub.
It happens every once in a while, right?
Yes. Let's
Yep.
go back to the cold blue.
Yeah, let me go back.
Before Tom just keeps going red all show.
Yeah. All right, we're getting off of it.
There we go. Does that make you feel better?
It does.
All right.
Back to blue.
Cool him down.
Back to blue.
Cool him down.
Back to blue. Back to blue.
All right.
Deep breath.
All right. We want to. I want to do. I think part of.
Can we mention that Jed's on the way in?
Yes, please.
I mean,
mention
that's
it.
So Jim Dedelow from WJOB and owner, or I should say, his wife's the owner, but he's the, I guess, figurehead. He's the person that you identify. He's the.
If you picture WJB and
picture Jed,
you picture his face.
Yeah. So Jim Dedelow graciously coming back into the studio. We're going to talk with them after 8:00 hour. Or talk with him and the mayor about kind of like their 20-year track record in Lake County politics.
We're doing a long interview, meaning we're doing one set of ads, and then that's the rest of the show is Jim Dedelow. So
hopefully he gets.
Last
in the
time we
snow.
did this,
Hopefully he's not riding his bike.
Kevin killed the interview after about.
I want to replay that because you are
should.
mischaracterizing
dude.
this.
I would love to
find it real quick.
Honestly, let's ask Jim about this.
It was like 8:45. No, you
I
just
remember
want
his
to embarrass
face.
me.
No, dude, I remember his face. Kevin's like, "Okay, wrap it up," and Dedelow's like, "What the? Okay, right? I thought I was gonna be here for a while." Kevin was
I
like,
apologize in advance to Jed.
ADD kicked in.
I think I had to go to court, so
yeah,
I apologize.
Hey, just to continue on, as you all know, people that listen to Lockpod, they know that we usually follow up on topics. That's one of the things we do. We talk about a topic one show, and we'll follow it up and update you as the shows go on, okay? So this is an update from the last show, unfortunately, where we were talking about the dangers of fentanyl and how it is ruining our country and killing people that, a lot of people whom you would never even know had drug issues. And this is a perfect example of somebody that's rich and famous and powerful, has all of the assets available to him, and overdosed in early December, and it was just discovered. Indianapolis Colts owner Jim Irsay found unresponsive in his Carmel, Indiana home on December 8th with a suspected drug overdose.
When I read that, I was like, wow. Yeah. Because, it goes to what you said last show, and maybe it was 2 shows ago, but about how, this stuff doesn't discriminate based on your socioeconomic status. It doesn't discriminate based on if you've done it once or 100 times, and it's dangerous.
It tries to kill everybody.
Yeah.
It's scary. So basically, the fire department, the Carmel Police Department found him unresponsive at 4:30 a.m. on December 8th. He was cold to the touch. They administered Narcan. It seemed like he responded slightly to the Narcan, and then the medics arrived and took over and transported him to the hospital. Now, the scary thing about this is his second overdose.
Yeah.
Like, this guy already overdosed and was saved the first time. And now, in early December, he overdoses again. I'm telling you, I think, and I'm not trying to be light or flippant about this, if you overdose once and you don't get your shit straight, you're going to die. I mean, you're going to die of an overdose, in my opinion. If you overdose twice, there's no saving you. So, Jim, in my opinion, there's no saving this guy. He's a drug addict. he's going to ingest fentanyl and probably pass away.
Yeah, and you always hope that people can overcome it. But I think, here's another great example. And Jim Irsay has been, on I think HBO or something that he had been on, talking about being real frank about his addiction and alcohol and drug addiction issues over time. He's been in rehab, I think, multiple times. And I think it just goes to show you addiction is a disease. Addiction is very hard to beat. And it's just really sad. And you see people fall into it. And it's not just the Jim Irsays of the world. It's the people that are living, on the street. It's the same thing. They're dying. People are dying from this.
But
and
when they die on the
every
street,
week.
it's not on the front page of
That's
newspapers across the country. When
right.
it's the billionaire,
the Colts.
famous owner of the Indianapolis Colts, and this is his second fentanyl overdose, that's scary shit.
Well, according to the article, respiratory illness.
Right, that's what the Colts are saying, right?
Right.
The Colts are like, oh, yeah, he has health problems because they don't want to say our owner is a complete drug addict and can't control himself.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to say if you're the Colts?
Right.
Here's what Irsay said on Real Sports in November. I thought this was interesting. He said, quote, "I started slurring my words and then code blue. I stopped breathing. And then they revived me, and the doctor says, Jim, you're one lucky man because I had signed virtually your death certificate."
So, like, if you can't get your shit together after that and you overdose again and you get saved, but there ain't no saving Jim Irsay. Jim, there ain't no saving you, bud. You're gone.
Man,
like, I hate to say it,
but
if you, I'm being realistic here, bud. I'm not trying to be a dick. Jim Irsay, you're a drug addict. You don't want to help yourself, and you're going to inject a hot load and die. I hate to say it, but that's a fact. I've seen it, Kevin. That's why I'm talking about this out loud, is because I am privy to knowledge, and Kevin is too. We see this shit all the time. People are dying left and right of fentanyl, and even Jim Irsay is part of this epidemic. It's an epidemic.
Wait,
yeah,
he overdosed in November?
No,
December.
he overdosed in December. He was on HBO in November talking about it.
But then he overdosed after that,
Correct.
and we didn't find out for a month because he's a billionaire, and you
Right.
keep that shit.
Amazing though that they were able to keep that
Yeah.
quiet for
Yes.
a month.
Well,
That's a good
you know
point.
how things like this go, because I read what they said in the paper. They were doing a FOIA. So what
Exactly.
happens is they know it right away, but they can't prove it. So they put in a FOIA, and they just wait it out. They're like, you're going to have to give it to me within a couple of weeks. And then when you eventually give it up, they do the story. Right, Kevin?
That's right.
Because how long do you have when somebody gives you a FOIA?
Well, I mean, you have to respond to the request immediately in the sense that we've received your request, but you have a reasonable amount of time to get the records.
Which is what, like a month?
No, I mean, it depends on the records, right? If I'm asking for like
Right.
one page.
report.
Yeah, but if I'm asking for a report or I got to go through this, is
What's
the
that?
investigation
Few
over?
weeks?
Sure. A few
Okay.
weeks, a month.
So they waited out their time,
Yep.
and then they got it, and they drop it. And now it's a story.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you said, I just have like a little bit of like, is when you said like, if you're not, you're not willing to help yourself. The more and more I read about addiction, the more and more I feel like, I don't know if you're able, I don't know how you
Kevin,
get to that point.
What I said was, if you overdose and are revived after your first overdose,
Yep.
you get called your overdose.
Yeah.
The cops or the first responders or the doctors, they save you. If you can't get your shit together at that point,
That's fair.
and you overdose again, that's what I was talking about.
I just
okay?
don't know if you can sometimes. It's just so, it's
I would hope
crazy.
you could, but
I
if you
hope can,
can't,
too.
it's
Yeah.
too bad, because that means if you overdose once, you're dead. I mean, I would rather think you have an opportunity to try to save yourself. I would hope so, but
Has he done rehab? Did it say?
Yes,
that
multiple times. I want to say I saw something that said 15 times, but I
Dude.
don't know if that's true.
can you imagine?
Yeah.
That's how addictive it is.
It alters your brain.
Yeah, it does, right? I mean, again, if you're taking something that you have knowledge can kill you and you still take it, that goes to show you where your mind is.
So Lindsay last night at
dominating
dinner
you?
was bringing up my comment in the show where I said it's more dangerous than skydiving, and she's like, it's like not even a comparison, because skydiving's not that dangerous. She's like, I think you should say base jumping, because base jumping is dangerous. That's the one where you're throwing your parachute out. Okay, and base jumpers die all the time.
Yeah.
So I think if you don't like base jumping, then why the hell are you doing opioids? Because it's literally like, even if you're popping a little pill, it looks just like a Vicodin. You pop it, it's like base jumping. You might live.
wonder if you're doing both, like a base jumping pill popper.
Yeah, right? So, hey, let's move on to the next topic, and then after that, we're going to do one set of ads, and we're bringing in Jim Dedelow. But I tell you what, if I'm going to make a rock band, I have a perfect name for the rock band. You ready,
Yeah.
Jill?
Hit me.
Dead Teslas. Dead Teslas, right? That's a good name, right?
Yeah.
Elon Musk would love it,
Yeah, maybe.
right? But the reason we're talking about dead Teslas right now is, we were complaining last week about the bitter cold in Chicago. It was as cold as it gets. like 30 below, 40 below wind chill, like brutal. My temperature gauge on Martin Luther King Jr.'s march was -10 temperature.
Chilly.
So
It was frozen on the inside of my house.
I know.
Yeah, same.
My garage was too.
Some of my-
the
some of
wall
my windows.
was
Oh,
frozen.
my door, Kevin, not my window.
Yeah, my door. Right. But so during that cold snap, nobody could charge their Teslas. The Teslas would not take a charge, and because it's operating your heater and everything, your battery is draining much faster than it normally would.
Yeah, I don't think that it wouldn't take a charge. It was that the batteries are more depleted and they run out quicker, and so we have a couple issues going on, right? One, you have Teslas with lower battery ability, and then you have lack of complete infrastructure in our country, and then you've got a cluster, and you've got cold weather.
Yeah, so especially in the Midwest, where Kevin and I already know, because we're attempting to get more charging stations in the city of Hammond, we are completely underutilized with charging stations in the Midwest for the number of Teslas that are sold.
Big
Now,
time.
California is far different, and plus in California, it's not freezing cold.
Up north. But.
So here we are in the Midwest, where we already have too few charging stations, and we have cold that California and other warm parts don't experience, and you get dead Tesla Armageddon. So, John, do you want to play that TikTok?
I was wondering, John, as an electric car owner, like your experience, because
This
we live
may
in cold weather.
surprise folks, but I had an EV because I think I'm a tech guy. I think they're cool, and I think the biggest problem people don't get is in the really cold weather, you have to precondition them, which is an hour or two before you leave the house. You open the app, you start preconditioning. It essentially warms up the battery and acclimates it to the climate you're about to go into. And I don't think anyone did this in these videos.
But that's if you have a garage, right?
That's the problem is you gotta have it plugged in overnight.
And a lot of people probably in Chicago think about
Right.
it.
They
Like,
don't.
what's
Working on the street.
What's the percentage of people that have garages
Very
in America
few.
or
I
in
mean,
Chicago?
like if you live up in Lincoln Park or up in
no.
that, Wrigleyville, you're parking on the street.
Right.
And your car is dead when you get there in the morning.
Without a doubt. I
Right.
read something in the New York Times article on this that said in Norway, they don't have any, they have very few issues like this. Even though Norway's freezing, it's because
They have
two
garages.
things, huge infrastructure, 90% of the people have garages.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So, all right. Let's play, a
play
little.
this video. When
By
we
the
come
way,
back,
Jed's not here yet.
Oh, he's not?
No, we're
and
good.
when we play this video, though, we're going to come back and start doing ads. And then after
Dead
that,
test-
Jim Dedelow from WJOB is going to be in the studio for the second half of the show.
Said he's in the middle of traffic.
Okay. All right, let's do some dead Tesla.
Rotting in the charging stations.
Oh, we got a bunch of dead robots out here.
Due to the extreme cold weather, Tesla drivers are left frustrated.
Nothing, no juice. It's still on 0%. And this is like 3 hours this morning being out here after being out here 8 hours yesterday.
Has it been charging?
No, not at all.
It just isn't working.
At all. It's just frozen, and so I'm getting it towed to the Tesla service center because that's my only option at this point.
Man, this is crazy. It's a disaster. Seriously.
With temperatures falling under zero, these charging ports stop charging, turning charging stations into car graveyards. Batteries of the Teslas have to be at certain limits so they can charge. And with this cold weather, they're draining faster than they're charging.
No response from Tesla. We have been suffering since yesterday afternoon.
These are unusually cold temperatures, but do you find this acceptable?
No, not at all. Not really.
Driving an electric car when it's really cold outside isn't such a hot idea.
Wait, okay. I don't think most of these people should own electric cars. I just don't think they know. And did the chargers go down?
I don't think so. I
No,
think the
they're
cars
just-
did.
And
Okay.
because it takes longer to, like twice or three times as long to charge your car. So the few charging stations we have are clogged up by people that are trying to charge their car, but they're not successfully doing it.
Did you hear that?
So
one
they're
guy
taking
said-
up the spots.
He said he was out there 8
8
hours the day before.
I'm like,
what?
Yeah.
So, well, I think part of it was like waiting in line, John. They said like there was hours waiting in line. And so what I read was in cold weather, and cold weather is defined as 20 or below 20 degrees. And
Which
in
is
Chicago,
you could do 50%
that's-
of your days like that here.
Absolutely, right?
Right.
Without a doubt. And every day the last 10 days.
Right. So you can't drive your car during cold stretches.
41% of the range is reduced when outdoor temperatures go below 20 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right.
And the other thing that people don't
right.
realize is that older Teslas, it's like going into it's like I'm not going to buy the iPhone 15. I'm going to have to buy an iPhone 8 or 7.
Yeah, think about the technology then.
Right. It's so people are buying used Teslas
With less range.
Gotcha.
less range, less batteries,
Jeez.
and you're buying
and they're
like
clogging up the charging station.
Bingo.
And it's taking longer because
Yep.
it's cold.
Yep. And these are probably folks that don't have a garage.
I wonder if they're going to have to make charging stations indoors in the Midwest.
Maybe, or sheltered or covered.
You literally pull into like a garage and you charge your car, and then you pull out of the garage like a car wash, but it's indoor.
Well, and I mean, think about the fact that, like, think about John and I were talking about this. Think about the infrastructure for gas vehicles. There's a gas station on every corner.
Right.
Dude, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was seriously thinking about buying a Tesla, and I am not doing it now. First off, Elon Musk is an asshole. 2 years ago, he wasn't. And secondly, because it's cold where we live. And I already have a summer car. My summer car is a badass gas guzzling Shelby.
I think if you're a commuter or you live in a warm climate, like if I'm retired in Florida, perfect, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're driving
California,
well, think about it. Like, you're on the road to Indianapolis during session all the time.
Never.
I don't think you could do it in an electric.
Where would you charge? If you needed, I was thinking about that. If you were driving on a trip, like if I was going to Boyne, and I was driving through an area like the region where there's not a ton of charging stations and it's cold, you could get stranded on the road.
Without a doubt. And by the way, once your battery's at zero, there's no
no
recharge.
gas backup.
You got to get it towed.
Like I drove a hybrid for about 2 or 3 years, and I loved it, by the way. And I always had that gas backup, thankfully. And the way my hybrid worked is when I got below a certain speed, it was all electric. So when I'd pull into my house, like through the parkway, I'd be going like 20, 25 miles an hour, and it would be all electric coming in. But when you start going faster, the gas would kick in, right?
Yep.
I loved my hybrid, but I always had that gas backup. Like, maybe they got to start thinking about that with Teslas, is having 2 gallons in the trunk or something, where you could kick in a gas engine or something. You know,
that's exactly what I had. It was a very unique electric vehicle.
Gas backup.
You could switch to a 2-gallon. Essentially, it was a generator in the car that would charge the battery in real time. It wouldn't power the train.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's
it was
smart.
Awesome.
That was a smart
awesome.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't the smart car. It was a BMW i3.
Okay.
So, John, you said you had an EV. You actually have an EV, right?
Amy has one now. Same exact
and
one.
She loves it.
She loves it. Yeah.
What does she have? The BMW
i3. Yeah,
i3.
She loves it.
Okay.
But so it's weird that I'm defending EVs here, but I will say a couple things. They're pretty good at, like, Teslas are pretty good at times if you're taking a road trip, saying here's where you'll make it, and here's where one of our charging station is. That you'll need to stop at.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot what I was going to say, because I think Jed's here, right?
Yeah, we're good. All right. So, John's you're pro EV.
In some cases, I think they're cool.
Yeah.
John, when you brought your Tesla, did they tell you that it was going to stop working at a certain temperature, or no?
No, I think these are just things you have to like
follow the
do
instructions.
your due diligence. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention was, there's cool apps out there. Like, as someone who owns an electric car charger, you can list that on an app and like rent it out to people. So, Tom, if you had a Tesla and you're like, oh my God, I need some charge right now, there's an app where you can go on and be like, oh, this guy has a house and he'll rent me a charger for a couple hours.
Oh, that's
pretty
cool.
neat. Yeah.
That's really cool.
So there are networks out there.
All right. Let's go do some ads. Jill's going to go get Jed, and we're going to roll.
All right, let's go. Powering Indiana Lake County. Again, Season 11 has been brought to you by Powering Indiana Lake County. IBEW Local 697 and NECA proudly bring you Powering Indiana Lake County. With over a century of experience, they've been safely wiring the region. From powering corporations along the lakefront to lighting up homes across Lake County, Powering Indiana Lake County is your trusted source for electrical professionals. Join them as they continue to light the way for Northwest Indiana. Visit Powering Indiana Lake County at www.poweringindiana.org.
Rogers Roofing. When you demand nothing but the best for your home and family, trust the industry leader, Rogers Roofing. For over 54 years, they've been transforming homes in Northwest Indiana and Chicagoland. Their commitment to quality shines through in their roofing, siding, gutters, and windows, all backed by the most comprehensive warranties in the business. Visit their website at rogersroofing.com or call 933-9145. At Rogers Roofing, we expect nothing less than excellence every time.
Misprint Printing. Elevate your brand with Misprint, the premier printing and sign solution in Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana. With a 30-year legacy of excellence, their experienced team, led by Rick Baltensberger, combines innovation and technology to deliver top-quality signs and printing and...
See how I loaded those in here?
That's right. Metal business cards.
Slowly bringing things back in the studio.
Always on time, always within budget. Visit them at misprintusa.com to bring your vision to life today. Misprint, your partner for creating impactful visual solutions.
Calumet Brewing, it's time to experience Michelob Ultra with only 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, 4.2% ABV, the perfect way to start 2024 and keep those resolutions in check. Michelob Ultra is brewed to be a complement to your healthy lifestyle. Head over to Cal Brew or the Michelob Ultra website and social media pages for details on this great family of beers. Enjoy the Ultra lifestyle with beers and cheers responsibly.
For decades, the Ron J. Prestmer Insurance Agency has been your trusted neighbor right on Indianapolis Boulevard, serving all your insurance needs. Their wide range of insurance products and services include auto, home, business, and life insurance, has helped over 1,000 individuals and businesses throughout the Chicagoland and Midwest. Call Ron or Ronnie today at 219-844-0103. They're here to protect what matters most to you.
Tortillas Nuevo Leon sets the gold standard in Mexican cuisine across the Midwest. Look for their iconic red and white label at your local grocery store. Indulge in the finest Mexican products crafted with local expertise and savor the taste of authenticity. Discover the flavors of Tortillas Nuevo Leon today.
Tortillas Nuevo León, hechas con amor, para ti y tu familia de todo corazón. Tortillas Nuevo León, hechas con amor, para ti y tu familia de todo corazón.
MCR Partners. Are you seeking expertise in economic development, finance, or planning? Look no further than MCR Partners, your go-to professionals for comprehensive solutions. Their dedicated team is ready to serve you and assess your opportunities to ensure the successful completion of your projects. Discover the difference MCR Partners can make in navigating the intricacies of economic development. Stay informed and connected by visiting their website at mcrpartnersllc.com. For more information and personalized assistance, reach out to Matt Reardon at 219-741-9511.
Byway Brewing, a family-friendly microbrewery, welcomes you to their spacious tap room and outdoor patio. Oh, that'd be nice today, that outdoor patio. Enjoy award-winning craft beer, a chef-driven menu, and craft draft cocktails. Their unique brewing equipment and production facility provide a perfect backdrop for private events, whether it's a bridal shower, reunion, or corporate party. With their new food truck, they can cater to your corporate and private events off-site. Customer service is our top priority at Byway Brewing. Just off 8094 at the Kennedy Avenue South exit. Discover more at bywaybrewing.beer.
Kuklakis Law. Are you currently navigating complex legal challenges? Unsure of where to turn for guidance? Your search ends here with Kuklakis Law, your trusted partner for legal solutions in Indiana and in Illinois. Whether you're seeking expert representation for real estate transactions, need assistance in forming your business, or have experienced a personal injury at work or in a car crash, Kuklakis Law is here for you. No matter the nature of your legal issue, our team is ready to help. Call us today at 219-671-6347 to schedule your free consultation. Hablamos Español. Thank you to our sponsors, Season 11.
Including our studio sponsors, Powering Indiana, Lake County.
Jim Dedelow is the one that named us the Midwest Most Dangerous Podcast, by the way.
I did not know that.
That was on the
show. We need to give you more credit.
No, you're the Midwest Most Dangerous Podcast.
I said you named us
Kevin
that.
Smith is
Thank you for not including
part
me.
of that discussion.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's a singular discussion. It's you.
Thank you, Jim. He called me this morning with instructions for one of our segments. He's like, you cannot talk about this. You cannot say this. There was a special show. And it wasn't your segment, by the way.
All right, good. I was going to say, I don't think there's really anything we couldn't talk about.
It wasn't your segment. I'm sure you can figure out which segment it was. It wasn't about the dead Tesla.
Welcome back, by the way, and thanks for coming in.
Hey, no problem.
I was over there rummaging around some of the stuff from the move, and I was looking for that Nike jacket you left last time you were here, but I don't think it made it over.
Oh gosh,
I was going to give it back to you.
We have a lost and found box?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mostly Jed stuff in there, but
you know, I'm known to leave my credit card places.
Really?
We went into Giovanni's once, and the woman goes, "Hold on." And she goes behind the bar and she brings 2 credit cards to us.
2?
Yes, like my
Wow.
my company and personal.
I'm sure your wife
So I
just
had been
rolled her
buying
eyes.
things on my personal debit card.
Was Alexis there when that happened?
Alexis was like, yeah, she's just, this is too true.
Proud
and
moment.
it is what it is.
They did that in front of me with Marissa before, too. They're like, they bring her card back and she's just like looking at me. It's
just like they could have done anything with it.
Yeah, right.
Hey, man, thanks for having me in.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for
I have
coming in.
not driven south from my house in North Munster in 20 years at 8 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
Every day I go right by your house.
What did you discover?
There's no traffic. It takes me 6 minutes to get to work. It took me 20 minutes to go from North Munster to Mid Munster. Is that how that is every day?
Well, the high school, right? So all the kids are on Columbia Avenue and Kaiman Avenue at about 10 to 8.
Oh, my
which is when
God.
you're coming through. So it's gridlock there.
Yeah,
St. Thomas More, too. Man.
Yeah, and St. Thomas. So you got 2 schools
Thanks
going.
for the heads up.
Sorry,
by the way.
I didn't know you you were going to take Columbia.
How am I going to?
I grew up in Munster.
I literally could have walked here quicker.
Right. You're like a Munster guy.
Exactly.
You know what time the high school starts? You're in the Hall of Fame there. I mean, like,
hey, by the way, you got 2 Hall of Famers in the studio right now.
That's true. I guess one that's not.
I'm a pre-Hall of Famer right
Man,
now.
that's the Hall of Fame side.
I'm not there yet.
You know what?
Shortly.
That is a huge accomplishment. Jeff Strack and with Judge Cavadia Schneider, we did the news the other day, that 219 News Now. And to show that, there's like a new group that kind of is taking hold amongst the power in Lake County. The guy did Cavadius Schneider. And I'm like, God, Judge is going to just go nuts.
No kidding. Yeah. No,
that's
awesome.
But you're right. Though. That is a good crew.
It's a cool class, too. The Judge Schneider and, Jeff Strack and myself all know each other really well. And we all got inducted together. It's really cool. I mean, the 3 of us, I know Judge really well, obviously, and I know Jeff's really well. And I think all of us know each other pretty well. I think it's
an exciting group, and it's an honor.
It's
to get in on your alma mater.
That makes me, that school saved my life, though. Honestly, I needed to go to school. I needed night school, and I had a full-time job and kids, and they were there for me. Honestly, Purdue Cal was huge for me, and it's Purdue Northwest now, but it was huge for me.
Well, I think one of the things you said, I was talking to Steve Turner, who's he's vice chancellor, some big title over there, and he was saying, I was mentioning to him what you said on the podcast, which was like, I wonder how many people in the Hall of Fame were non-traditional students like me.
Right.
And Steve was saying, you know what? I was a non-traditional student at Purdue
awesome.
Cal.
I didn't know that.
And he said, that's why I love this place. This place saved me. I don't have the same
I'm going to
route
mention that in
the
my
mayor
speech,
did.
Kevin.
Yeah,
I'm going to mention that.
You should.
Because I think
it's a
looking
good
up there,
story.
Jim, out of all those people that they're going to honor in the Hall of Fame, I bet you Steve and I are probably 2 of the only people that were like night students there.
I wonder, though. It'd be interesting to see.
I would be interested.
I know Jeff Strack went back at about 29 years old.
Right.
Oh, no
so
kidding.
NBA,
way,
right?
yeah.
I heard it on your
station.
Yeah,
I heard it on your
exactly.
station.
By the way, this is kind of cool because right now the region has a great opportunity to listen to you guys, which I do.
Thank you. You listen to you. I listen to you.
Yeah. And then they're also like Reardon and BP and all those guys are in there.
They're in there right now.
I told Reardon, I go, there's one word you can't say, and he was doing this, and people were just leaving. I could feel our ratings going down. He would talk about 19 overlapping municipal taxing jurisdictions. I go, if you say that once, I'm pulling the plug on that show. And he did not say it.
They were talking about taxes. Is that what I was driving
I know. I'm like, come on, man.
Tax talk.
Exactly. Can't we talk about like weed coming to Indiana?
There you go.
See, right?
There you
go. Hey, Jim, let me ask you an honest question. Last time you were in the studio with us, okay? Did Kevin totally cut you off at the end of the interview? Were you shocked when the interview got cut short?
He's trying to embarrass me.
I don't remember that.
Thank you.
John, did you pull it up?
Thank you.
I have the video, but I don't exactly know where it happened.
It's the end of the show.
It
It's
did not
literally
happen. See?
It totally happened. I'm telling you. I listen to Lockpot a lot. I mean, even when we're done with our show, I listen. And I remember at the time, Jim, you were in here, and then Kevin gets like ADD at the end of the show, right? Because we don't have to stop at any time. We could go 2 hours if we want. And Kevin was sitting there. He's like, okay, wrap it up.
You can go 2 hours.
Oh, he's
I can't
going,
go
I got
2
a
hours.
client at 9.
Yep. I think that's what happened.
I think his client was at 8:31 or something.
Maybe.
Well, you got to realize, and I've done that. I did that to, I don't know if it was Mitch Daniels or somebody once. It was time. It was time to be up. All right, thanks a lot. Goodbye. Oh, I know who it was. It was Curtis Hill.
Wow.
And he was just like, I saw him later, and he's like, wow, were you mad at me or something? And he asked the same question. I go, no, it's time to go, pal.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, we had a nice time.
But you have hard outs, though, too, Jim.
Yeah, you got a hard out, yeah.
We
there's
don't.
out.
Like, we're a podcast. We could go
when
a
you
day
got
long.
7 Purdue Northwest hockey players waiting to come
Right,
on at
right,
8:05.
right.
You got to get out.
Yeah, right.
That's
Hey,
true.
so this is the 11th season. And how many years is that?
11 years.
It seems like 11 years.
Like
it's probably 3.
Yeah.
I think 3. Yeah,
Well,
'cause we started
2020.
August 2020.
August 2020.
So whatever that is, 20.
11 seasons.
3.5 years. 3.5 years? Is that 3.5 years, Joe?
Almost.
Please don't make me do math.
2022, 2020. Yeah, 3.5
Yeah,
years.
3.5. So
Wow.
Jim,
Can you believe it?
we have a winter, spring, and summer season.
I was
all right.
determined. We spent a lot of money on this studio. I was determined to make the money back. I think we did. We could quit any time now.
Well, I mean, there's only one thing you might do, and I know
Yes,
that
tell us.
if Esmar is maybe just a little bit of sound catcher. I have some.
What's
of
that?
those.
Is that plastic stuff?
You know,
or
you
the,
just,
the
it
foam?
looks like it's a decoration, but it's just a little panel of sound absorbing, and I don't.
Why? Because does it echo or something? In
No, I don't hear the echo. Maybe just like about a 2% echo, but I don't think. I mean, maybe that might be sound absorbing drywall.
Yeah, we
which
got double drywall, but
Yeah.
but actually John and I talked about the panels, so actually they're on the list along with the shelves and other things that haven't been around for 11 seasons. But we're on it, John.
Yeah,
and
I
are on
got
it.
some. They're blue, and they're actually really sightly, and they might go in here. But this is really nice. I mean, obviously you spent some money on the furniture.
Yeah.
You had the cannons, I know, and then I mean, this is perfect. It's
works.
great. These
Comfy.
and if you go to, we had these elbow microphones. And they were all so old that they squeaked when somebody was talking. You got to watch that. And sometimes you got to come in here and spray them.
You know what? I remember that from your studio. Every time
John
you do
always
it.
tells me
See,
not
look
to
at-
mess with it. Yeah,
Exactly. That one needs already needs a little
What
spray.
the hell's going on, Besmar? That's a freaking squeaky microphone.
Jim, I'm starting to lose you in the frame. Could I get you on those marks?
Thank
you.
Up a little bit.
The chat is like, I want to see Jim's beautiful face.
Oh, I got to come down.
Got to come over.
Wait a second.
Come over. Let's see if it squeaks.
Sit on his lap, actually.
Hey, let's
There you go. Pull right
just
up to
be
his
straight
mic.
here.
There it is.
There you
The
go.
mayor and I, over 20 years, there are times when we should never have been this close.
That's good.
Geographically.
That's what I want to ask you, actually, Jed. I'm glad you brought that up. I think you guys are both celebrating like a 20-year deal.
Yeah.
Right
Isn't it
now.
nice to
Isn't
be
that
able to say
crazy
20
that you
years?
guys came on
We
around
did.
the same time?
We literally came on within
You bought the
weeks
station
of each other.
Or you and Alexis bought the station, and the mayor was elected 20 years ago.
Literally the same time.
And it gets even better, and that the mayor beat my cousin to become mayor.
That happened
And
too.
by the way, Jim purchased WJOB, and my dad was bidding on it. And Jim was
So you beat his dad, he beat your cousin.
Yes, that's what happened.
and it wasn't like there was nothing intentional. Like I don't have a problem with the Dedelow family, and I don't believe Jim or former Mayor Dedelow have a problem with the McDermott family. It just happened like a weird coincidence like
That's
that.
the region in
You
a
know
nutshell
what?
right
That
there.
in itself, someone should write a book about that time.
That's funny.
Because it was
Right.
very tense. I remember being in court, and then if you may not remember this,
Oh, I
but
remember.
Judge DeWan
Yeah.
said, I'll hear this case, but if that guy comes back again, he's going to get thrown in jail because I was yelling in court.
Well, I know you were really stressed. I understandably so.
Yeah.
You had your whole
I was
fortune.
mad.
Because I don't believe at that point. I think you were pretty much spending your whole life savings on JLB.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You were like all in.
That's stressful.
Right? Fuck
Yeah,
yeah.
that
And
was
then
a
my
little
dad comes
stressful.
along and he's like, hey, I want to buy JLB back. And Jim's like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? You're going to get my whole life savings on the line here, right?
As a matter of fact, I know exactly how much he cost me.
Oh,
$502,000.
Oh, man. No wonder you guys have had a rocky relationship.
Dude, we were destined to hate each other. We were.
No.
It's amazing that we don't hate each other because we were destined. Like everything at the beginning, he's like the major media in Hammond, and I'm the major politician in Hammond, and we had all that history coming in.
family history.
Right?
So to just, I think there's a lot of people that will watch your Lock Pod that know absolutely nothing what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But WJOB was in bankruptcy with another WIMS, and they called me in 2001. They said, hey, would you like to buy this or whatever? And I'm like, I'm not buying it anywhere close to, I think it was $3.5 million. I go, but if, I'll give you like a third of that or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they waited 2 years.
Yeah,
they had somebody fell through or something. It
was a rough time too.
Yeah.
JLB was
people were
suffering,
worried.
man.
I mean, JLB had like some weird Christian programming going on. It was owned by somebody else out of town, and people were really, me included. I was like,
dead.
It's done. We're never going to have it local radio
and
again.
that was it. And I think my cousin, as the mayor, had gone to Washington to say you can't make it religious or sports. It needs to be community.
Really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So, and then I told the guys, I go, I don't want to buy that. And they call me. They go, what's your price? And I go, really low. And I'm like, when you're trying to buy something really low and you don't want anyone to see it, I go, man, someone's going to, and they go, we don't care at this point. You got the money.
That's
Boom,
awesome.
you're out. And then I'm like, I told my wife when we were doing it, I go, someone's going to notice this and they're going to come along. And there it is. Hi, Marty. How are you? Marty Wilgus.
Yep.
And I'm like, it brought it up closer. It was still a good
Of course, they're
purchase.
going to notice though because they owned it.
Oh, they knew
And
exactly.
they knew if they heard what it was going for, they're both like, "What the hell? Like we could get this back for nothing,
Interesting.
basically." Yeah.
But at the same time, my cousin is running against you in a bitter election, especially with the fire and the police. I didn't really follow it, but
my first race was brutal.
Yep,
that was a rough race.
So I think what was supposed to happen happened because now my cousin is a deacon.
Yeah.
And I told him I didn't see him for 11 years. I didn't play golf with him for 11 years. Didn't see him. He didn't come to family stuff very often. And then when you did see him, he was like all scattered. So when you beat them, people are like, well, how do you feel about that? And I'm like, listen, I care more about my cousin uncle, and than I do any of these other issues. And I'm not altogether sure that was a bad thing, because he wasn't going to lay it up by himself. He would have stayed in a job.
He had a good career too, Jim.
He had
a
good,
there for 10 years.
Political career.
10 years as mayor. That's like one of the longest
11.
tenures in Hammond.
Yeah, but
11,
when you were first there, it took forever. I mean, you were like stressed you were stressed. I mean, now it kind of runs itself.
Well, Jim, like I
times.
have a great team now, and it's taken me a long time to assemble that team. Like,
kind of like what Jed has at JOB. I mean, think about where you were when you were back at the Smith Chevy behind in the old studio to where you are now, and the people that you've brought in. Yeah. That that when the light switch goes on at JOB, if you're not there, things are still going to be okay.
He doesn't even have to be there now.
Well, he's not. Yeah, he left it to Reardon and Repay.
That's all sports, as you guys well know. It's gone nuts. We built the platform like you guys have built, and people come to it. And now it's like tonight. I went to 3 games last night, and we have all these games on TV that has really taken over our lives.
Let me ask you a question. So, like in a big basketball game like last night, how many views would you get on? Like how many live views? How about that?
So PNW and Northern Michigan. It's kind of like there's 2 different separate things. There's an on-demand one and a live one. So probably at any time I think I looked, and there was about 500 people watching
awesome.
it.
That is awesome.
Because you're probably getting Northern Michigan families too,
we're
right?
That
tons
is
awesome,
of people all the way around the GLIAC, and then
that is awesome.
And then with
man.
the portal, you can see like, why are people in Bloomington watching this?
Yeah, they're scouting.
They're
whatever,
scouting,
right?
and there was a couple players.
That's awesome, Jim.
Yeah, so
good for you, man.
But what we did is we were subscription. And we were just not getting enough enough viewership to show to the advertisers. Yep. And then I'm like, all right, well, let's just make it free for the rest of the year. We worked with the Times, and we worked with Powering Indiana, Lake County. And
it's free right now?
It's free now.
Get the hell out of here.
It's free, man.
Yeah, we made
Jed TV's free.
Yeah.
It's free. You can watch the sports now. It's great.
Yeah, it's 5 times the viewers or more.
Now you can sell the ads.
And we didn't want to. It's basically a lab. Yeah. We're on Purdue. We're like, well, I don't think that this subscription is going to work at the local level. Let's try to make it free, but let's not really publicize it. Let's just see if it happens organically. We did a game where we did a Purdue hockey game and a Cal College sprint football game at the same time. They always had the exact same numbers. We don't tell anybody. We do the Cal College game subscription. We do the Purdue Northwest hockey game, and that gets like 1,200 views, and the subscription one was like 230. So we said, that's it.
That's easy.
We're
easy
free.
answer.
Yeah. I talked to some of the unions and the carpenters and all these guys, and I said, listen, this needs to be free. And they're like, you know what, I'm in.
That's awesome.
But we haven't publicized it because I don't know what's going to happen.
I think it's great for you. I think it's a great model, because I can just tell you from a consumer standpoint, what I would do is I would, if there was a game on that I really wanted to see, like usually playoffs or something, right, or sectionals, that's when I would subscribe for the month, and then I'd cancel.
Yeah, and and everybody else.
Right. So I think what you're doing now, you're going to make it up in sponsorships, because sponsors are going to be like, well, shit, I've got 2,000 people watching me now, or 5,000 people watching my ad, right?
It's the Region TV station we've been talking about for years.
No, I love it. I love it. I'm so glad you're free.
All right, so let me ask you guys about this. 20 years. I mean, honestly, I kind of felt like I need to reinvent myself or what I'm doing. Yeah. And that's kind of what we did with bringing Jed TV, and it's been totally immersive. Do you consider this podcast reinventing yourself?
I always do something, it seems like, and it's not on purpose, but I always end up doing something like different. And I definitely think the podcast, when we did it, was definitely different. You have to admit, right? Because we went from your radio show where it was really scripted, and and we had to be good boys, so to speak, because we're on, FCC controlled.
And talk about people's birthdays.
Oh, gosh.
Right. And then we come
every week. I was all stressed that you were going to lay an F-bomb. You laid an F-bomb and a shit. I haven't said that in a microphone in 20
you mean
years.
Here. Right.
Yeah, but I know. But I
would come in talking like a sailor, and I'd say, listen, when you walk in that door, you do not swear anymore. Oh,
and he was good at it.
I know. One time I said shit when I was on WJB. Yeah. One time. And I remember when I said it, Jim was with me, and you were probably there too, and I said it. I literally said, shit, and then I went like that, and Jim's like, no, keep going, act like it didn't happen. I just froze, I can't believe I just said that.
But I think, one thing I think about the podcast was, number one, I know Tom, and I know that he needs an outlet for what he wants to say. And so if it wasn't going to be JOB, it had to be something else. And
think about
this has been something that
social media
has been good for him.
When we first came in, social media was that outlet. And now social media is different.
When you first came in, there was no social media. I mean, think about
that.
But
when we started doing social media, it was sort of what Jim's talking about.
Sure.
Everybody's like, you are insane. You're putting stuff on social media that's going to come back to haunt you. And then as it turns out, all the other politicians started doing that at about the same time. So we go to the podcast. It's still a relatively new thing for elected officials. I haven't seen other elected officials doing what we do.
I think it's for the region. I think it's also good. It's good to have somebody that has been in office for 20 years that has kind of the political stature that the mayor has to be able to listen to him and see what he's got to say.
Well, you guys are setting the tone in two ways. One is you get every politician around the state of Indiana say, oh, that's silly, don't do a podcast. All it is going to come back to haunt you, and you're going to say something that will get you canceled. Okay, that's really, they may not say it like that, but that's what they're thinking. And there's no upside. It's the old Pastrick way. Even there, I talked to Kevin Pastrick. I need to get your dad on tape. Oh, there's no upside to talking to the media ever. Well, that's not true anymore.
Right.
You have to market yourself.
I agree.
And then the second part, and I've told Kevin this and you, is that this is a unique region in the Midwest, and we are dominated by media and messages from Florida, the East Coast, and California. And you guys are a fresh message in the middle of the country, but you're not the only one. There's a dozen of you in the region that could make a national imprint.
I hope you're right. You hear that, Joe? We're going places.
We're going up. We're going up.
So what's on the agenda today?
I got 3 depositions, man. I got to drive to Crown.
Hey, John.
This interview's over.
Yeah, right, John.
Am I done? I gotta go.
No, you're not done. But John, did you find the proof that we were looking for?
No. See,
that's bullshit.
Bad memory.
Hey, listen. I'll be honest. You don't have to be here. Bye.
I know. I can leave.
Right?
You guys can sit here another hour.
Exactly. I don't get paid for this shit.
I'm just.
We pay money.
Let me ask. You know what? Let me ask a couple questions that you probably don't want to answer.
I'll answer anything.
But I'm sure that people really want to know. All right, you lay down at night and you're talking, and you and Marissa are figuring out, well, what's my next step? And you are in
Lake County Sheriff. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, everevery for God's sakes. Yeah. After I went off this morning.
Yeah. All right,
definitely.
Let's get out of wish list. Wish list. Okay. All right, I look forward in 5 years from now. I'd like to be doing something like blank.
Okay,
President.
how about you want me? How about this?
You.
For Hammond. First, let me start for Hammond. In 5 years, I would love to see like an Apple or a Microsoft purchase the data center complex and turn it into like a tech hub. I think it's totally realistic. Right there right off Lake Michigan with the low taxes offered in Indiana and all that cooling water right there. I think that 20 years from now, that whole thing will be a bunch of computers. That whole area where the state line generator was. And it'll generate hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue for the city of Hammond ultimately. Not a lot of jobs, unfortunately, but I think I could see like a Facebook or an Amazon or somebody buying that area over there and just making it all tech. I think that's a totally reasonable goal for Hammond. Me personally, I'll be honest with you, I'm focused on getting my pension. I have 4 years, 3 years, and I'll be qualified for a pension, and I could literally ski every day if I wanted to, and that's tempting.
What is that, 24 years?
Yeah. It would be
well,
20,
I had 4 years credit when I got in. I was
credit.
a public defender, and I got credit for that, and now it's really helping me out at the end of my career.
So it's 30?
No, it's a rule of 85.
Oh, okay,
and I walked in with 4 points, basically, because I'd done public defender, and then all the time I've done as mayor, if you do the math, when I'm 57, I qualify for a pension, which is awesome.
You know, I don't know about you, but I live in fear of retirement. Even though there was like a front page article that I retired in the Post Tribune.
You're a Hall of Famer too. Face it, you're the end of your career.
People and others are asking, "Hey, we want to do this. We want to give you this award." I'm like, "No, I'm not done."
You're halftime right now.
What is your schedule now? Because I remember last time we had you in, you were kind of like, I'm out for a couple months. Jeannie's gonna handle this, and your daughter Jeannie.
So she had, she realized, hey, I got a baby. I want to be home now. They're having another one.
Wow.
So wow. She's like, hey,
you're getting to work.
Well, I wanted her to see because I really do believe, and your dad, we've had this discussion, and Julian Colby when I worked at WJOB, and all the spirit of it is that there's something you got to learn. And I think your daughter kind of understood it, so maybe you guys could buy it one day. But somebody has to understand what WJOB means and how it has to run lean and how it has to produce students and how you have to listen to people. I wanted her to see that, and she has come in and she still helps. We have a 9:30 Zoom with the big client and all that. She helps me with the bigger clients and does a medical minute with community hospital. But she wants to be home with the kids, so I'm like, all right, we'll put that on hold for a little while.
Oh, nice. So you're
I'm deep into it.
Jim, I personally think that the Dedelow family is the perfect family on JOB. You're part of the region's history, and like that's part of what WJOB is. Like, you know, it wouldn't be as sincere if it was owned by anybody else, in my opinion.
Well, I think almost just and number one, saving JOB because it was going away.
They didn't just save it; they rejuvenated it. Yeah. JOB is like the TV station we've always been looking for,
and made it into something that it wasn't before, and now it is, and it's important.
Plenty of talk about 19 overlapping municipal taxing jurisdictions.
Their
now,
ratings are going down; ours are going up.
Exactly.
Honestly, though, Jim, honestly, I think the hard part of your job. Okay, I think the hard part of your job is showing up every day and hearing a lot of the same callers calling in all the time. That's got to be frustrating for you, right?
I don't know how you do it 5 days a week.
Well, here's the deal. I hired twice. I've hired consultants, and one of them said something to me that made a little sense. Really, most of what they said is that I'm doing everything wrong and don't do this, right?
Right.
But one of them, they said, well, if you're just going to do it by yourself in the morning, then you have to allow some of the regular callers to be kind of semi-co-hosts.
Part of the...
You know, so like when Mad Mac calls in and people are like, why you let him talk? I go, well, A, he's kind of funny, and B, he calls every day and he knows everything going on, and I've known him for 40 years, you know what I mean? And so he has become part of the rotation.
It's like the Whack Pack, right?
Yeah, he's hateable to some people, and some people he has great followers. And that's just one of them. I mean, I get Laura calling in, and these folks that will call regularly, I encourage that because otherwise, you know, I mean, just think if you came in without him and you had no guest and you were just
I wish
talking.
I had callers sometimes. I wish I had callers. In fact, when we first started Lockpod, we had every intention.
And the phone never rang, so.
That was the John, right? Hey, John, is anybody calling? No.
No,
right.
And honestly, on mostly a video live podcast, it's very difficult.
We have fun with our chat. Like, our chat's pretty much like our caller.
Yeah.
Thing, right. So like the chat's great. I mean, I'm just scrolling through it right now. It's always funny, and there's
I love
stuff
chat
going on.
Chat is like, and that's how it's my barometer on how we're doing. And by the way, we're doing really well with chat. Like that's a good way. Like a lot of times, if I'm watching chat just dwindle away, Kevin and I are like we're doing.
Let's go to chat.
But so you did not answer the question correctly.
Me?
I mean, literally, it's been 20 years. I've been 20 years, and I looked.
What do I see myself doing in 5 years?
Yeah,
probably running a company. Probably like CEO. I'm you know. I mean, I've been mayor 20 plus years, you know, and how long am I going to be mayor for? Really? I have no desire to be like Mayor Pastrick. No, all due respect. I love Mayor Pastrick. I knew him well. I know the Pastrick family well. That doesn't motivate me to like try to top him. It doesn't. Like I feel like I've accomplished everything I need to accomplish. I don't have anything to prove. I feel like I don't owe anybody anything outside of maybe Kevin, honestly, because Kevin's been with me through this whole trip. It really, like I had a situation recently, I'm sure you heard about it at WJLB, where it was a long-time person that I've known for a long time. We had a disagreement, and I let him go. And it was, like, shocking because I've known this person basically most of my life. And I didn't appreciate something that happened, and we just cut our ties. And everybody was shocked, but it's like, I don't know anybody. The guy's worked for me for 20 years. Like at this point, it's all about Hammond. It's all about just going to work every day. And
I think, you know, knowing Tom for 20 years, what I would say, first of all, you don't owe me anything. We've had it's been an unbelievable run. And I think I always remember when you got elected and we walked into the mayor's office for the first time and we just kind of chuckled. I mean, literally there was, you know, we were laughing in the sense of like, I can't believe we're in
this.
here.
Right.
And I just know me thinking, I was like, man, if he gets 8 years out of this, that's great. That's awesome. It's a great run. Right. And here we are 20 years later, he's still in office. I think what I would say about Tom is that I know he loves his job. I know that he loves working for the people of Hammond. And even though right now in his first year of his 6th term, he's saying, I want to be running a company in 5 years, when re-election comes around, he's going to have some soul searching to do because he's always like, man, I want we're right in the middle of doing this.
That's the thing.
And I want to do this.
frustrating.
Like right now, like, if you ask me what I want to see in 5 years, I would love to see people living downtown, that downtown Hammond train station going, stuff going on.
But every project we do takes 15 years.
That's how we're keeping you around.
Like, honestly,
This is
every
working.
project we do takes, God dang, it's so frustrating. Think about River Park, what we did over there.
That was exactly what was on my mind.
It took 8 years, Jim. I could have lost my job, and then somebody could have taken over and gotten all the credit for it. Like, it was a brilliant idea I had. When that's the thing, a lot of mayors aren't like, no. I mean, all due respect to Mayor Dedelow, he built a gorgeous golf course and never got to enjoy it because he got beat right after that, right?
I'll never forget, like a year later, after he had basically lost the election over that
one of the main issues.
Building that golf course and seeing some sort of vision for North Hammond. There you are standing on the first hole waving and everything, and I'm like, that's slag pile. Do you guys realize how much slag was under there? They had to jackhammer it out.
It's a great vision.
Stuff.
Oh no!
Yeah. I love the marsh. The marsh.
But now
is
look
awesome.
at it. Now there's residences around. There's Dedelow Parkway. There's
Yeah.
Clark Field's
By
about
the
to
way,
get developed with 40 new
That's
homes.
full circle, right?
Yeah.
When we built a neighborhood in that neighborhood and we named it after your cousin.
So
that was full circle.
Yes, it was full circle, and he very much appreciated
I know he
it.
did. And like, by the way, Lori's on the park board. She's awesome. She does a great job. Kevin works with her regularly.
Absolutely.
So like, we have come full circle with the Mayor Dedelow and his family, and we're supporters of each other, and I appreciate him.
So can I sum this up?
Yeah.
I mean, because
are you closing us out?
Yes,
this is
please,
unprecedented.
close us out.
No, I'm not closing you
Please,
up.
I gotta go.
You go. I don't care. I'll come over there and sit there and ask all the questions
do.
you would not let him answer.
All right.
The first time I say the word SSCVA, you're going to turn around and come
Let's
back.
go.
Oh, boy.
So to sum this up, I mean, I've never heard this. I don't know if you guys have heard this. The mayor is up against the pension. That is a huge motivator. I know that.
I'm doing the math every day.
Yeah, and then
how many more days?
I know you log in to your Indiana State
Perf, yeah.
And then you log into how many days left.
I know.
3 years, 25 days,
March
and
of 20,
17
March
hours.
4th of 27. I qualify. That's when I hit 85. That's the number.
Wow.
It doesn't mean that's the day I retired. That's the day I could
On your
retire.
birthday.
I could retire with a full pension on March 4th of 2027.
So the second part is surprising to me, that you would want to run a private company.
Yeah.
Because I guess if you really think about it, running a city, which people think of as just mostly political stuff, is really mostly efficiency and administrative. And then the politics is kind of at nighttime. You got to go to, the sheriff's having a fundraiser. Well, we won't say that right now. But a private company surprises me that you would want to run a private company and not like some agency or get appointed by some Democratic governor or something like that.
I think it's about being an executive. I think Tom, he's so used to being in charge.
And not only that, I've been, when you work in the public sector, your salary isn't, and Kevin and I have this conversation a lot because Kevin doesn't have the pension I have lined up, which is worth a lot, quite frankly. But at the same time, you're also holding your salary down on every 2 weeks that you would make. I would make more if I went to the private sector. But if I went to the private sector, I wouldn't have the pension I have. Yep. So it's a give and take, But I think that I can make a lot more money than I make. But I do it because I love my job. I do love being the mayor. It's a great job. It fulfills me. And it's challenging, but it's also overwhelming sometimes. And I've been doing it for over 20 years, and that's hard. It really is hard, Jim. Like I carry stress around that's unusual. Like stress that, when somebody gets shot, and I have nothing to do with it. And we had all of our officers on the street, and we did but when somebody gets killed, I literally mourn as the mayor because I know, the Mad Max of the world are going to call up and slam my city, or what's going on with the schools right now. It's stressful to me, and I'm not even in charge of it. But I know ultimately it's going to hurt our city. And that's a heavy load to carry for 20 years. There's a reason I go to Michigan a lot and ski.
And ski. I like that final. And ski.
There's always the Three Oaks detour on the way home, but we'll leave that out. I think people would find that refreshing that you want to go private because I've never really had a boss, an independent trader, independent media person. And I'm like, gosh, wouldn't it be nice to have a paycheck and be in the government or be in some sort of university or something? And it's kind of weird. You look on the other side and then you see the positive aspects of that. Like Kevin and I were like scrambling. Look at him. He's like, I got a client and they're billing me at X and I got to get over there.
Now he's paying for this huge mortgage for this building.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
Right.
Hey, how's that feel? Here,
stressful.
I'm proud of him.
Thank you.
Here's
Stressful though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a whole, like I think like the mayor said, there's always there's a flip involved, and when you're in public sector, yeah, you might not have the stress of your monthly bills you got to pay, but you have the stress of the job.
What about the stress? What about the stress for both you guys? Really, is the stress of the SSCVA issue. I mean, I don't want to talk about the. You obviously can't talk about that.
Yep.
But I mean, you could talk about the stress of that.
Sure, it adds to the stress of his daily job. Do you think he didn't come in one day thinking like, oh, I'm going to have to deal with the SSCVA today and that's going to dominate my day? But it does, and things come out of the blue. Yesterday there was like a gas smell somewhere. Where's it coming from?
Yeah, man.
Who's in charge? Is something going to blow up?
And it was in City Hall parking lot.
Yeah.
Did you smell that, Jill?
Yeah. What the hell was that?
But I thought BP.
It was from BP.
Oh,
we didn't know
my
initially.
house was shaking.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
See?
It was coming from that far up north?
Yes. And it came all the way down south. Yes.
Like a heavy gas smell.
But that's what I mean. You see, Jed, like you don't go to work thinking like, oh, we're going to deal with a gas leak at BP today.
Gosh, that's scary. Don't say that again because someone's going to cut that up and
put
it on.
How about this, Jim?
Gas leak at BP.
No, I don't even know if there was.
Ask Marissa. One of my biggest fears as mayor is City Hall burns down or floods. So every day when we're off, I go to City Hall. I take the elevator up to the 3rd floor. I walk through each floor, stop in my office, walk through the bottom, and I leave. And I'm smelling and I'm looking and I'm making sure there's no pipes burst. I do it every day of my life. Every day of my life.
All right. In private business, the board would fire you because you need to be in a position where you're making strategic decisions.
Of course.
As a matter of fact, I remember one guy that went to some business conference, and he said, the only time I really fired a manager of one of my Popeyes or whatever was when I came in late at night and he was mopping the floor because he needed to be in the office.
I'm not mopping the floor when I go in there. I'm making sure. Like, did you see what happened to asparagus?
Hire somebody to do that.
But did you see what happened to asparagus?
Yes, I did.
It's like the Hammond Public Library last year. These are buildings that flooded out because it's so cold and their pipes burst. Yep. It's like one of my biggest fears that while I'm mayor, City Hall is going to be like go out of business because it flooded. And that's my fault. And it's not even like rational, but that's the kind of shit I get afraid of.
Well, I think that's the refreshing thing is, it's you hear this from him and he cares. He cares about what he's doing.
There's no doubt. I mean, both your dad and you have cared about Hammond. And I was looking, all right, I don't normally prepare, but I'm sitting in bed this morning and I Google McDermott and I hit news. And then there was the article a while ago about where they said you got a PhD in Hammond.
Yeah.
And
I forgot about that.
Yes.
I do.
I don't even read it. I'm just like, well, what's that mean to you?
That means that I've been doing it for so long that I know things that the only people that have been here, like things about Hammond, Jim. Your family's been here over 100 years, okay? I haven't been here as long as you, but I've been mayor for 20 years, and while you're mayor, you're privy to information that the general public's not, and I've just learned a lot. I mean, to do a PhD, you have to have hundreds of hours, thousands of hours. I've done that. It's what's that adage that says you become an expert after a certain period of time. You do 10,000 hours of preparation. I've done it.
10,000 free throws.
There you go.
Right. And I've done it. I've done my free throws as mayor, and I'm sort of an expert. I'm not saying I'm the best mayor ever, but I'm saying I know what I'm doing, and I know that I don't have to prove anything to anybody anymore.
So do you ever feel constricted?
Yeah, all the time. I do. But I still express myself pretty well. But on Lockpot, I'm a total different person than City Hall. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, think about, you talk about constricted. Think about how many times he has to bite his tongue when he's out in public getting ripped.
When I'm getting
ripped. And people
ripped.
are just ripping him. And what you really want to say to those people versus what
How
you
about
can
this?
say.
We're not going to say a person. This person that was beating the crap out of me, she basically told me I'm the most evil person she's ever met, okay? And then I had a free event in Hammond last week, and I was paying a lot of money for this event. I just invited the public. She shows up and, eats breakfast for free. And this lady was, wishing my death. And then Kevin's like, can you believe this person's here? And I'm like, it's unbelievable.
But I know who it is.
But you want to go up, you want to go up and say, what the hell are you doing here? You basically are wishing my death, and now you're eating free breakfast with me. But you can't. Because I'm constricted.
And I think Yeah, he's constricted, right? I mean, you got to bite your tongue as a public official. You can't. He says it. You're my boss. You're my boss. I have 80,000 bosses, and so do you talk that way back to your boss? Usually not.
How do you feel when people call in on my radio station and rip you?
Being honest,
yeah,
I used to listen all the time, and I'm not. It's not even. I listen to your station. I was listening to it this morning. When it gets bad, I turn it off. I can't handle it. I don't read Twitter though. I don't read my comments on Facebook, Jim. Like the thing I've learned is the best way is ignorance is bliss. You know, and I like your show, and I like a lot of the people you have on your show. But when it turns to I hate Tom McDermott, I am out. I try not to. And then people will call me. People will call me, hey, man, did you hear what Jed said about you? I'm like, no, asshole, and I don't want to hear it. There's a reason I didn't hear it, right? I mean, that's how I deal with it.
So
ignorance.
So, you know, Julian Colby told me a long time ago when I worked for him, prior to your dad owning it, was that the reason that Hammond doesn't have the problems that East Chicago, Gary, and Lake County have, it was WJOB. Because all these people are always looking at the mayor, and then they're calling in, and they're looking at the administration. Now, I try to temper it because with the TV, we've become more regional, and I can't sit and talk about. I remember Fowler one time came in, and he was hosting a morning show, and he goes, well, let's go to item 6 on the agenda. I go, no, there's people in Cherville and Crown Point and Porter County. Right. But, I mean, you gotta look at that structure, and maybe it'll become clear once you're not the mayor. But that WJOB is kind of a backstop, and Hammond has never had the problems that all these other northern Lake County and Lake County government has had.
We've been lucky with great mayors too, by the way. We have been. I'm not including. I mean, your cousin was a great mayor. My dad was a great mayor. You know.
Well, I think there's something to be said with like long term, right? Multiple terms, because you
actually think about that.
Well, I was just talking to somebody recently, and they were talking about dealing with a community. Not in Lake County, but another county, and they were saying like they've had a different mayor every 4 years, and you can't. How do you sell to a developer that your project's going to be fine and it's going to be kept going and it's going to be shepherded when I don't even know who's going to be in charge?
Let me tell you something I've learned: confidence. That's what mayors do. If I can give you confidence, Jim, to invest in Hammond, you'll do it. But if you don't have confidence in me as the leader of government, you're not going to invest in my city. And I think that's the one thing I've learned is I'm giving people the confidence to say, okay, I could invest my money in Hammond because I trust this government to do the right thing. And if I don't give in, if a city's not giving developers confidence, it's all over. Maybe Eddie Melton could bring confidence back to Gary. I hope he does.
Oh, yeah, I have been criticized for saying, all right, show me the money, Eddie, because I was a cheerleader for Scott King. I was a cheerleader for Karen. I was a cheerleader for Prince. And I'm like, hey, listen, you know what? I don't know. I don't know if the job is too big for anyone, but they seem to have they stole Nate George, and they
stole Levita from me.
Yeah.
She's great.
And and I shouldn't say stole. They did. All right, well,
no, I'm glad Eddie. I mean,
and they got Mike Suggs over there.
I
mean, they've got a really good leadership team.
And it's younger. And a lot of young people I know.
And there is a different vibe than the other times. But then again, it's also like sometimes it doesn't matter who you are if the time's not right. And I don't know if it was right until now.
Timing's everything. A lot in politics, I would say, right? Whether you win or lose, what you have going on, what the issues you face, it's a lot of timing. But
So let me ask you, I saw an article today about the 7 areas of a convention center and the possible places to put it. I mean, I was under the impression that it was a done deal to put by Hard Rock. Now they're asking for other locations.
You know why it's not? The General Assembly is vehemently. There's people that are very important that are part of the delegation that are not going to let that happen.
Or they're going to try not to.
They're going to try not to. But that's a major problem. I know that Mayor Melton was pushing that hard and did a good job. And you know, I think that personally, I think that if I were in charge of Lake County, I'm not, but just being an objective observer, I think that the convention center needs to be down by 65 and 30. I think I prefer the old Radisson site personally because that just makes the most sense to me. And I'm the mayor of Hammond and I should be fighting, but we really don't have great locations in Hammond. I think the best location that's close to us is right there by the convention center in Highland, where the softball fields are. That'd be a great location for a convention center, but it's going to be a tough sell because it's the northwest part of our county.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, it's not central, but it's got to be off the highway somewhere. Whether it's 80-94 or if it's 65, it's got to be right.
Well, it seems like that's controlling a lot of the behind-the-scenes politics right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why are people doing this? Oh, it all has to do with the convention center. SSCVA is, I think, part of that discussion, as we all well know, right?
There's a lot of discussion going on there.
Yeah.
Hey, could we do me a favor before
we wrapping it up?
Yes, but
I'm
I wanna,
wrapping it up.
I want to play the last minute of Jed's last show.
He's
going to
try to prove
I want to
it. You're going to try to prove yourself.
Jill, do me a favor. Could you be the objective observer here? Because okay, John, you ready? Because I remember when it went down.
This is so good.
Okay, ready? Let's go.
I think it's right here. If it's not, I'll skip to the last minute.
All right.
Let's see here.
Broadcast, and also it comes from the middle of the country, where often you just flat out overlook what we have to say.
We're going to play that. That's an ad.
We're the Midwest's Most Dangerous Podcast. Thank you, Jim, for coming on the show. It's been a long time.
Thanks for having me.
It only took us like 200. No, John missed it. There was a part before that.
Oh, because it looks like Tom cuts it off.
No, I'm telling you, I remember this.
I'm just getting rolling, just like that time. No, I appreciate you guys having. This is a great addition to Munster.
Thanks.
Right now,
We appreciate it.
Anybody that ever gets a chance.
I'm all about
to see
improving Munster. That's what I'm trying to do. So
I remember. You do remember when the flood was going on and you had put up all the sandbags and Munster didn't?
I'll never forget it.
Yeah, it was
I'll never forget that day as long as I live. Honestly, I'll never forget that day. That was like seared in my memory banks forever.
Oh, it was a horrible day. And
it was a slow-moving disaster.
And you were gracious about it, but at the end, it's like, what were they thinking over there?
It was horrible.
Now here you are doing your podcast in Munster.
In a brand new building.
No flood.
So, thanks, Jim, for being on the show. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Jed. Appreciate it.
Go do your deposition.
Jill, thank you for being here. Sorry we didn't have much to say today with you, but we appreciate you.
You made it
Hey, what about Jill's podcast?
I know.
It's coming.
We should do
that.
Wants it.
What?
No one wants it.
No, Jill,
want it.
Jill, that is. I know you know everything and are silently absorbing all of everybody's toxic energy, and it's in you, and you got to get it out, otherwise it festers.
Jill and I have like sexual tension between us. Like I tried to take her on a date last year.
God!
Yeah, it is.
Oh man, Jill.
I know. It's like. I tried to take her on a date last year, got shot down, and it's been all jacked
a long
up ever
story.
since. It's like, we'll get back to it another time. So,
good enough.
Wrap us up.
Thanks, Jill, for being here. Appreciate it. Jay Vaz, awesome. This is our longest show in the history of Lockpod, I believe.
Yeah.
Really?
I got guilted in not cutting it off 10 minutes ago.
And I'm going to come back next show, and I'm going to play the clip where Kevin cut off Jim Dedelow in the last one. So
I'm looking for. I'm still like.
You can't find it. It doesn't exist.
It does exist.
Hey, wait a second. Let's just do it right now. I'll start telling a story. And you go, okay, thanks, Jim.
Cut it off,
we got to wrap it up.
I got to tell you the story that one time about.
Time to go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
What do
Thanks,
I do?
everybody. You're listening to the Midwest Most Dangerous Podcast. We appreciate you. Season 11, Episode 4. We'll be back on Tuesday with another great episode.